64! Whoa, I gotta put on my shades. You're so bright.
One more time. One more time from Zoomland.
Yeah, man, we weren't gonna do it, but I got this, the throat,
Do you have throat?
I think this is cause for a celebration when we get back to our normal schedule. Ready? Lift, separate my lips, sip. Holy torpedo. It's a bit early in the day for this, I think.
Well, Mike, it's good to see you again, buddy.
Great, man. I know. It's been, what, a month or something?
Yeah, we have not been together for
Boy,
a month.
we've been, after a year of living out of each other's pockets, I almost feel like, like a part of me is missing.
I know. Well, and this is weird now. So I'm looking down at a little screen down here. I'm looking at the camera. Which one should I look at?
Look right there. You're looking at it. Everyone can see.
Well, it's so weird because I'm not looking at anything but a little dot then, rather than looking at you. Well, is this okay?
Yeah, no, look at the little dot, and I'm going to look at you this way and make sure that as the light changes in the room, I'm looking good,
Okay, that's good. It's good to do. So, yeah, do we want to give anybody an update of what's been going on? What's happened this month?
What have we been doing? Well, I traveled to Nashville a few weeks ago. I have relatives there. And while I was there, I was able to get together with Jimmy A. and Tom Galata and Derry Doherty, Steve Hindalong, and we did a little hangout on one of the first shows we did a few weeks back, if you'll recall. Then we aired a interview with Aaron that I did previously, and then you interviewed Steve Griffith. And since that time, the new Vector album has been coming out, and it's getting rave reviews. I'm very happy to hear how well it's doing already. So that's quite an accomplishment, man. Congratulations. I'm thrilled that you guys really pulled that off. I had
didn't think we were going to get.
It took a while, There was a kind of like a bird that flies into a house, he starts banging against the walls, but he keeps flying, and eventually found his way out. And now it's just smooth sailing.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and then we interviewed Mark, which was great to talk to him. Well, back to Nashville. What were you doing there? What was going on?
I was visiting my in-laws, and then I had to fly to Wisconsin because my Uncle Ed, who many of you that are watching had prayed for and fought the battle with me, he had COVID and he didn't make it. So I had to go and sing a song at his memorial service. And it's a song that I've sung on our show. It's called When They Ring Those Golden Bells for You and Me. I did it, I don't know, about 3 months ago. And I'd like to do it again. So it was great seeing his siblings, my aunts and uncles, who are all late 80s, early 90s. I mean, my other aunt's like 93. And Eddie was only 74. So he was like my dad's kid brother.
Oh, that's a bummer.
It was totally a bummer.
Was he in poor health prior to that?
Not at all. No, just the opposite. He was probably the most stalwart,
wow,
real mensch,
So a true COVID casualty.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was the least likely to have this happen. But, that is what happened. And so I went and did that.
Sorry about that.
But sure enough, while I was in Tennessee, my niece got sick, and then my other niece got sick, and then their mom got sick, then my wife got sick, then I got sick. So it's been kind of several weeks of battling this. When you're flying up and down in an airplane, if you have any congestion, as any of you out there know, it locks into your head. And then once it's in there, man, it's really, really tough to get rid of it. But I'm on the ups. I should be able to come over and sing no problem next week.
Cool. All right.
So in the meantime, with Vector coming out, we're putting the finishing touches on Hymnshow. So what we want to do with this show is focus down a little bit on the material so that when it finally does arrive on your device, you will have a little bit more background about where some of these songs came from. And I'm really glad I did this research because I knew about a few of them, but I learned an awful lot as I dug deeper into the origins of these songs and where they came from. It's actually a very vital part of American musical history. And it's in sharp contrast to what we have today, where everything is so packaged and controlled and copyrighted, and there's legal things about it. Back then, people went around to people's houses and collected songs, on the prairie, out in the, in the mountains, in churches. There were so many different versions maybe of one tune, and guys like A.P. Carter from the Carter family. If any of you have watched that Ken Burns special on country music, I don't know if you've seen that, Bruce.
No, I haven't.
It's one of the most amazing things I've ever witnessed, because I actually learned about how bluegrass, folk, country, blues, and eventually the more modern forms of all these things happened in America 100 years ago. Because up to that point, music was just transferred via the same way the oral tradition was in writing years ago, where people would sing songs in their homes and in their public meeting places, and someone would remember it and sing it somewhere else a year later, but the lyrics were different because they couldn't remember it all. They didn't write it down. So one thing Mr. Carter did was he would go around and spend weeks traveling, go into the highways and byways, get these songs, write them down, note them if he could, and then run to a publisher. That, publishing houses were starting to happen. And he would put his name on it and copyright it, and then he would end up being the guy who everyone said wrote it, but all he did was collect it, So an awful lot of these tunes that we recorded, some of them have that history. Some of them were actually written by traveling evangelists, people that went from church to church. It's a really rich heritage. And I wasn't aware at the time that these 12 little tunes we picked have some of the richest history to them. I just picked ones that I kind of knew or that I stumbled on YouTube, and what I've come to find out is the reason why we like these so much. We've been working on this thing almost a year now, and we never ever tire of hearing these songs. We don't tire of playing them. We don't tire of hashing over them. Every time I hear them, I get a big grin. It's because their history is rich and they have stood the test of time. So I'm very excited to deliver this little, we just thought of it as a casual little offering from our humble CoROEnosphere,
Yeah, which is always that's always the intention, Yeah, we'll just do it real quick, Just this time we'll just put a couple mics up and do it. And
well, we did do that, but it seems like every time we start a record that way, we go deeper. We start wanting to bring something to it, and it's not being buffed and shined, to where it gleams. That's not what we're doing. If anything, we're doing just the opposite. We're spending time on finding these subtle little things that happen that aren't really featured, but when you hear them, they make the experience better. And I think that's where, our whole little operation kind of tends to get bogged down, because we really do notice that stuff. It isn't, anyone can sit down and just run through a tune, and sometimes you get lucky. In fact, there's a couple on here that are like that, like The Bible's Right, and I think Drink and Shine was that way a little bit, where we didn't have to do too much. But some of the other ones I'm a little bit fussier about, because I'm standing and, shoulder to shoulder with guys like Elvis and some of these great gospel singers. It's the same as country singers. They're so good at what they do. So, I walk in there and think, I could do that, and all of a sudden I'm listening to it. I'm just going, no.
Right. It's hard to create a placeholder for that type of thing. It needs to represent, just the implication is that this is really the best you can do.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do, is do our very best, so that when you listen to it, rather than cringe, you're actually going, man, that's really nice, So
but also kind of duplicate that casual sense about it, like you're saying,
Yeah.
I was thinking, just while we're thinking about our process, or you're talking about our operation, it's hard for us to go in the studio and make a record and just pump it out as it used to be, where we'd go in with, say, an engineer at a studio in a little block of time, and that would be the time we'd have to work on it, maybe do some solos and some overdubs and polish it up, done with it. Whereas now, now that we do it, we just have a hard time getting anything done, because we just don't have to finish it. We've promised it. That's why we make the promises, so that we have something.
Goal.
Yeah, some kind of deadline drawing us to
the art of self-production is a very difficult thing to do. That's why I think a lot of, in the old days, record companies had what they call A&R guys, artists and repertoire. They'd get the artist, they'd get the music, and then they'd bring them together and keep the ball rolling so that it didn't bog down. And eventually that changed to producers who were essentially doing the same thing. So when you do it yourself, you can just disappear up your own navel. We've gotten lucky on many occasion and sat down and did a thing and it was done. Like everybody's got to pray sometime. I think we did that in one night, Yeah. And I marvel when that happens. But
I think "Dig My Heels In" was a similar thing, which kind of
like that.
Like one shot,
Or Rosebud.
Yeah.
Things like that, where wasn't even a song hardly,
I mean, I think we did something like Sevens, did some stuff that was on our EP. I think we kind of cut all that at one time, and then went back and filled in some gaps. But these were kind of short. I think Tom Tom Blues was done very quickly too.
Yes, it was. But we were under contract to a record company. There was a deadline. There was a tour. There was Cornerstone. The Cornerstone was the whipping boy of our career.
Yeah, you had to have it done.
20 years, no matter what. You've got to have it done in time to go play at Cornerstone, make all the money you spent making the record. Well, without further ado, why don't we get into a little bit of music here?
Cool, man. Yeah, so you want to, we had an idea to go ahead and kind of go over, do you want to share some notes on a few of them, or you want to kind of touch all of them?
A little bit of background, not much, depends on the tune, but, and I don't have to sing the whole tune, but, I can sort of give a taste. Most of you out there listening to this, if you've been following us, have heard these songs before us playing them over the last year or so. So,
which by the way, when I think about it, when I think about the time that we take to make projects, we put enough time into the show itself, into CoROEnosphere. We could have probably made 377's albums by the amount of time, that many sessions. It's pretty funny.
That's absolutely true.
You find yourself in these little niches, so it's been a blessing, man, to get that part of it established. So now we got to go back to finishing our records, darn it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, without further ado, hit it, Mike.
Don't let the devil ride. Whoa, don't let the devil ride. 'Cause if you let him ride, then he's gonna wanna drive. Don't let him ride. Oh, don't let him flag you down. Oh, don't let him flag you down. If you let him flag you down, he will turn your soul around. Don't let him ride. By the Reverend Jimmy Anderson. To be perfectly frank, I found this song at random one day on YouTube. I don't know how I found it. It just appeared. I guess I was listening to something else similar. And this came on and I went, man, that's a cool song. And I thought it was a contemporary thing. I thought some guy within the last few years, some blues guy did it, you know.
Oh, the recording was that?
The recording, I think, was recent, but it turns out that this probably, from what I can determine from reading, was an old church song, African-American church song that has been morphing along the way. But I think this guy named Reverend Jimmy Anderson was the guy who probably wrote it originally, and then it's been recorded by different people, you know. But I'm really glad I found it because it's been one of the most durable of all the ones we've been working on. It's got a nice thing. I played harmonica poorly, and you were able to sort of rescue me on that. Which, while it's in my mind, I want the audience to know that this whole hymn show thing was Bruce's idea. I'm not sure how you came up with it or why. It could be that when we were starting the show, the CoROEnosphere thing, we were starting to do hymns a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we had our little section that was kind of a part of the show.
Kind of part of the show. So it was the hymn show for short, you know.
Yeah, and I think the idea was to do a series, and it kind of all goes back to Holy Ghost Building, because it's kind of the model is where you research these things and then we bring them in and do something with them. And so this was it's kind of that, you know, nothing novel as far as our experience, but
well, I think of course, you know, the minute you suggested, I said, well, who's going to want to hear that now? We've already done it twice. And you go, what do you mean? I said, we did Holy Ghost Building. Then I went and did a solo album of an acoustic. Oh,
was it Say Your Prayers?
No, it was called We All Gonna Face the Rising Sun. And so I thought, here we go again doing that. But it seemed,
well, now you're
it also made perfect sense in some way.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think we still, I think the ambition, because time is always a factor, the ambition is to get, you know, to get another couple records. I think the plan was to do this one
and then do it out. Yeah, spit it out there.
Yeah, and do a second one where we kind of do the same thing. So there was two volumes of this.
Yeah.
Because we had that many songs.
Right.
And then we were going to do a third one where we started bringing in Terry and all the other guys. Yeah. And do like more of the modern things too, right? You know, do start covering that stuff. So I'd still like to do that.
I still want to do it.
Yeah.
I may not want to do one like this next, only because it's taken such a long time. I realized, wow, you know, we thought we could just sort of spit this thing out, and more we got into it, the more I realized, you know, to do it right, to really do it cool, you need to put a little more time and effort into it. But
you just can't avoid it, man.
It's tough, you know.
It's got to meet the ear test, you know. It's crazy. Now
I understand why Steely Dan, you know, I think they were the guys who sort of started working in that way, where they would take 3 days on a fade, or, you know, 5 days on a kick sound, you know. I'm sure a lot of that was to do with the 70s. You know, it was a time where there was a lot of money, a lot of drugs, a lot of
let's not
go there.
Let's not associate any of that with what we're doing.
I'm just saying that process of taking time in the studio, the Beatles started it, and then Steely Dan, Fleetwood Mac took it to like a extreme degree, you know.
Well, this has been a difficult period, and it's been hard to get the applied time in. And I think to be satisfied with your ear is what we're talking about, not as much as the time spent. Because I don't want to leave the impression that we've been sitting here, you know, working over it, because it's not. We've hit it when we've had the opportunity. More of that. That's why it's taken a while. But I wanted to also say that kind of. We wanted to create something for this that had its own. It's a light version of something that we might ordinarily go in the studio and kind of beef up a lot. So we're kind of trying to do a version of the hand drums and, you know,
Yeah.
something that, you know what I mean, that just
Sure.
doesn't have a real heavy footprint.
Right.
And that's hard for us because we're kind of, we tend to look where we can put the heavy footprint in everything we make, you know. It's crazy.
Well, it's a bit of a lighter footprint. All right, so then we did this. I found this one called Drinking Shine, which is another one I found on YouTube by accident. This was written by the elder Charles Beck. He was a black gospel musician and evangelist, and a very prolific recording artist. Recorded. And he also he played a lot of different instruments, particularly boogie woogie piano, which some say influenced rock and roll piano later. Guys like Jerry Lee Lewis and other people, Little Richard, all that stuff. This guy that wrote this was one of the originators of that particular way of attacking a piano. So that I did not know. But when I hear this recording, it's just kind of goofy and fun, you know. You say you done cut whiskey out and so you have a little wine. But most everybody's getting on a drunk cause they must be drinking shine. God don't like it, I know. God don't like it, you know. God don't like it, I know. It's scandalous and a shame. Some folks get drunk every once in a while just to ease their so-called mind. And when they get caught in the trap, they want to put all the blame on shine. God don't like it, I know. No, he don't like it, you know. God don't like it, I know. It's scandalous and a shame. Some men won't pay their honest debts and let the bills get behind. Draw their money out every week and drink it all up in shine. Sometimes they get put in jail and have to pay a fine. Tomorrow they are drunk again, for they just can't stop that shine. God don't like it, I know. No, he don't like it, you know. God don't like it, I know. It's a scandalous and a shame.
I'm getting great time. I think that there's no.
Are you getting it perfectly in time?
Yeah, it's coming in right in time.
I mean, if I go like this. Okay. All right. I can see your hand. Sometimes it's hard to see your hand. I've never, you know, we've been talking about doing something like this for the whole time. I'm glad we're finally trying it.
Well, the last time, you know, the first time I did it with Steve, we were side by side in the picture, which was cool.
Did you sing though?
And then, well, then the next one with Mark, whatever the setting was, it kept going back between us every time we'd talk. So I'm just hoping like heck that this one isn't going to have an issue like that because we're both making noise and the thing's just going to be going nuts. I don't think it'll
looks
stay.
Really good to me. I'm seeing a black screen, you on the left, me on the right. I'm twice as big, but that's because you're on a phone and I'm on a computer.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, hopefully it'll turn out good.
Well, here's a wonderful song that's dear to my heart. I heard it as a child. My grandparents sang it in church, and they recorded it on one of those little Recordio home recorders back in the 1940s. There wasn't tape or anything, but some people could buy a little machine that would actually cut a disc at 78 on a piece of, I don't know if it was shellac or metal or what it was, but it would play sometimes from the inside of the record to the outside. But they were noisy as heck, you know. And some lady in my grandparents' church had one of these things. And so she brought it over, and I've got a recording of my grandparents singing this. And, you know, we all sang it at my grandma's funeral, and everyone's like blubbering, you know. And then
I'd love to get a hold of one of those.
Oh, I don't know if they exist anymore.
That's like something that you'd see Jack White on a video.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if anyone's got one, he's got it. Because when we got to go inside Third Man, he was collecting all those recording booths from all over the world, the kind that was at the, did you ever go to Santa Cruz? Remember when they used to have those?
Yeah, you'd sit in there and
you'd step in there, you'd put a little money in, and then you'd record yourself for like a minute, and then out would drop this little record.
Wow.
Yeah, he was all about that for a minute. Anyway, it's called In the Garden.
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
Very nice. Written by another prolific gospel writer named C. Austin Miles.
That's like being in an old movie, you know, or Gene Autry movie, or, you know, oh, who was the other? There's another famous.
Yeah, Tom Mix, Roy Rogers.
Roy Rogers,
gosh,
yeah.
so many of them. And you know, a lot of those singing cowboys did start incorporating gospel songs into their presentation, particularly during the 40s and 50s. And I grew up in that era hearing those cowboys singing, you know, how do I know the Bible tells me so, you know. And that was one of the first songs that, how does it goes, if you have faith, hope, and charity, that's the way to live successfully. How do I know the Bible tells me so? So when I was a little boy, I was singing that at my grandma's house because she played the piano and organ, and they got this bright idea. Okay, let's have little Michael sing this at church on a Sunday night in front of the whole church.
Oh, wow.
And I was going, no, you know, and they were going, I'll tell you what, if you do that, we'll buy you a copy of How Much Is That Doggy in the Window by Patti Page, which was a hit record at the time that I wanted to hear. How much is that doggy in the window? Woof, woof, well, one with the waggedy tail. Remember that? Did you ever hear?
Yeah,
How much is that
did the guy who does all the dog songs produce that? Remember that guy? You know what I'm talking about? He did all those songs.
Oh,
with
the guy was doing the singing, roof, 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 the bells and all that.
He did a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
I
gotta lock him down. No, it wasn't that.
No, it was just Patti Page. It was a big
Mike.
hit.
Oh my gosh, your story. I mean, those are picture book, like living in the 50s, man. I mean, or you know, was that 19?
That would have been in 1955 or 6, 7.
Oh my gosh, man! What a story, man! They wanted you to sing. They wanted to goad you into singing at church, and they promised to get you How Much Is That Doggy in the Window. So this was how all the Mike wrote. This is how the Doc Love legacy started.
Well, it's a haunting, painful memory because when they finally got me up there, I refused to sing. My grandma's sitting there going, you know, she's pushing the organ forward, waiting, and I'm just sitting there, you know, diddling with the little, you know, there was.
Man, that's a screenplay, bro.
Oh, it was awful. No, it's like watching that scene from, you know, Christmas Story or whatever, you know, and I just wouldn't do it. And boy, I really caught hell for that. But I think eventually they did get me the record anyway, because I think I just threw a fit, you know.
Eventually they got you the record.
They did anyway, which isn't really,
well,
wasn't really the right. That was one of the few times when the punishment wasn't carried through.
Well, I mean, but it doesn't the story go, eventually I got the nerve to go ahead and sing for everybody. And it's like that just tells the tale so much. It's like, eventually I got the record.
I got the record, but I wouldn't sing it. Well, you know, it's scary. I mean,
so you never sang?
I don't think I did. No.
Oh,
no.
Okay. Wow.
I think they were so humiliated by the fact that they told everyone I was going to do it. Well, you know what? I mean, you put a 3-year-old up there to sing. It's like
3 years old.
I was only 3. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and you were aware. You were aware of that record. You wanted that record. Wow, you were just came out of the womb being in the business, huh?
Absolutely.
Just had an affinity for that.
Well, it caused a lot of pain. You know, when you have a kid that little that's into this, it was a lot of consternation with my parents on that, because I was so consumed with it, it scared them. They didn't understand. They were going, he's not supposed to be listening to rock and roll. He's supposed to be listening to church songs and kiddie songs. I listened to everything, but I heard that hit parade stuff really got under my skin, and they didn't quite know how to handle me, you know. So it started kind of this little civil war that would eventually work its way out. But yeah, it was weird for a young kid to be into that. But, you know, here we are, still doing it.
That's how the hit parade got under my skin.
Yeah.
So tell me about the next one.
Well, there's In the Sweet By and By, which is a great tune.
Everybody knows that.
Now, this one blew me away. It was written by a guy named Joseph Webster. He wrote the music, and another guy named Sanford Bennett wrote the lyrics. This guy lived during the antebellum Civil War period. He also wrote The Wildwood Flower. He wrote a lot of those kinds of songs. And he was goaded into writing this song by the lyricist, because this guy was a sort of a melancholic, and he was just going, I don't want to do it. You know, it's kind of like when you and I working and you trying to get me to do something, and I just go, no, I don't want to do that. And you just gently keep persuading, and then eventually I get all into it. That's kind of how these guys came up with this tune. And he wrote this tune that's been a standard for years.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorites on the album too. It features all 3 77s in a rockabilly Sun Records kind of style. And as you know, Bruce, this is one of the better ones on the record. It's great. So we'll see.
There's a land that is fairer than the day, and by faith we can see it afar, for the Father waits over on the way to prepare us a dwelling place there. In the sweet by and by we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by we shall meet on that beautiful shore. We shall meet on that beautiful shore.
It's weird, man. Your vocals are either you're singing kind of in a round to me, or your parts are coming in like in some weird thing. There probably is some delay coming off my computer or something like that. But
well, you know, I think one of the notable things about that was that little thing of the little kid from the 50s who had ring, and your tongue stuck out of your mouth. You're all.
I'll tell you who does that. Have you ever watched Derry Doherty?
No, he's a tongue cider guy.
Yeah, it's great. It's a, you know, whatever it takes to get the note. You know how it is on drums, man. I watch you, and you're just like,
oh,
you got a little bit of Buddy Rich, a little bit of Keith Moon, a little bit of
a little giving birth here and there.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
whatever
it takes to get the body to do it, you know.
Well, I think it's what it takes for us to remain those little kids, because I think this stuff keeps us 1 foot in the playground always, you know. Keeps us from maturing, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I think music actually has a healing property on the brain and body if you consume it regularly and in a deep way. I do believe that it helps align, you know, I don't want to get all kooky about this, but I think that it has a way of keeping you healthy and younger, and it's good for you. I just think it's really good. I think it's a real good, it harmonizes your body the same way it does your soul, you know.
Aside from destroying your joints and your hearing.
Well, if you play guitar too loud or you play drums physically like you do, yeah, I mean, everything breaks down. But hey, you still can play. It's not like you're not like Phil Collins yet, poor sap.
Ooh, well, no, I don't plan to be. I'm gonna get off it, you know, before I do that. Before I get going there.
Well, I don't know that was it his playing that caused it, or did he just have back trouble?
Yeah, I don't know. Judging by his posture, maybe he caused it. But you know, but this is now we're getting into the therapeutic need and spiritual need for these songs.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. Let's stay on the
go too far.
Let's stay on the fascination of creating the record.
All right. Well, here's "Praise God, I'm Satisfied," which it's just a traditional church gospel song. Blind Willie Johnson did it.
Yeah, and I'd never heard it before we did this.
I don't know that I'd heard it before I heard him do it. I think I'd heard something like it. There's a lot of "I'm Satisfieds" in the gospel tradition, but this one, I don't know if I'd heard it quite the same way. And now, of course, I couldn't sing in his guttural Tuvan throat singer way, but I tried.
1, 2, 3. Praise God, I'm satisfied. For me, he bled and died. Well, I'm glad to know that he loved me so. For me, he was crucified. Lord, I'm satisfied. For me, he bled and died. Well, I'm glad to know that he loved me so. Praise God, I'm satisfied. Up on the mountain dreary, God, I wandered sad alone. And well, my Savior found me, for to claim me for his own. Well, he put his arms around me, and he drawed me to his side. All right, I might be a child of his. Praise God, I'm satisfied. Oh, praise God, I'm satisfied. For me, he bled and died. Well, I'm glad to know that he loved me so. For me, he was crucified. God, I'm satisfied. For me, he bled and died. Well, I'm glad to know that he loved me so. Praise God, I'm satisfied. Well, I'm glad to know that he loved me so. Praise God, I'm satisfied.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good one, man.
I
love that. That one came out good on the recording too, for sure. All right, let's do, oh gosh, where's my capo? Hold on. Station identification.
Is this your apartment here, or is this your home?
This is my house.
Your house, and you got your cool little recording set up with your vocal shield thing there.
Yeah, that's what they call a mud guard, and you can see the 414 up and behind the little gauze there, and I got this big stinking stand that I got from Guitar Center.
And then you got
a little office space, you know.
You got a little. Is that a little piano there?
There's a piano. Yeah, there's a Kimball.
Oh, nice.
My grandma's old piano.
You play it?
A little bit. I need to get it tuned. It kind of doesn't like to stay, you know how pianos are. They're kind of fussy.
Mm-hmm.
I got my mom's keyboard too, which I need to get it set up because that's something I could actually record with.
No, you got big stereo speakers back there in the back? Is that what I see?
Yeah, that's my stereo. I haven't, I used to use that for checking mixes and stuff, but I don't have it hooked up currently, but it's on my to-do list, you know.
Hey, have you not been spending much time around your house? I mean, based on the fact that you have a Christmas tree still up there?
Well, that tree, what happened with that? That was my wife's tree that she got from Starbucks, and we would decorate it differently through the year. You know, we do 4th of July tree, and we kind of slacked off this year a little bit, so it hasn't been redecorated in a while.
It's a COVID tree right now.
It's a COVID tree, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Well, and of course, and the traditional what's the lava lamp, of course.
Yeah, always. The lava lamp tells me if I got the take right. If the lamp loves it, then I know it's right.
In fact, good. I buy that. That's great.
I learned that from John Flanagan at Plaid Jacket. Jad Plackett. I was thinking about that the other day. For those of you who don't know, John Flanagan ran a studio called Plaid Jacket where we recorded Safe as Milk, Tom Tom Blues, and the third one was the Love Coma, Language of Fools album. And then we stopped working over there. But great guys, man. Him and Guy Niosi, and man, I mean,
do you talk to those guys?
I haven't talked to him in a long time, but when I think of how we technically recorded it was 1/3 digital, 2/3 analog, chaining an analog machine, a 16-track to a digital computer, and it was a real crude early version of digital recording.
Well, now you would we'd cut that at Paradise.
We cut the basic tracks at Paradise like we did.
Then we go over to Plaid Jacket and work, and then you would rent an Apogee converter.
Yes, that's right. To record, that's what made it sound amazing, because that digital converter was amazing, and you bet, man, that saved our bacon. All right, so Softly and Tenderly is another church song I grew up with. It's called an invitation song, which is a little bit like Just As I Am Without One Plea. You know, if you go to any meeting where they would have the invitation to come forward and give your life to Christ.
Right.
There were songs written specifically for that experience. This was from the 19th century. This guy who wrote this wrote gospel songs, secular songs, patriotic songs. You know, he was a tunesmith, and in those days, there were a lot of guys like that who wrote songs to order. They basically wrote for whatever the situation was, whatever it took. And this is one of the most enduring of all hymns. It's called Softly and Tenderly. All right, here we go.
Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling for you and for me. See on the portals, he's waiting and watching for you and for me. Come home, you are weary, come home, earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, oh sinner, come home, calling, oh sinner, come home.
I always love that one, yeah.
Beautiful tune. I had no idea it was that old. I mean, you know, written in the 1800s. So I always convinced myself that all these songs that I grew up with were written only maybe 20, 30 years before I heard them. But some of these go way back.
Who'd have thunk this rock trio that was banging out songs at Canal Street would be doing songs from the 1800s?
Well, I don't think it's the first time. Okay, here's one that I like a lot. This one is called Strange Things Happening Every Day. And I found out that that is also a traditional spiritual sung in Black churches for years and years. And Sister Rosetta Tharp, who was one of the sort of, they say, progenitors of rock and roll, she played electric guitar and was just badass. I mean, there's no other word for it.
Didn't we had a little shot of her
Yeah,
in the cabin or something doing something?
she recorded this in 1944 towards the end of the war, and it was a crossover hit. It went from being a weird race record, blues gospel record, to a hit record. And some say it might possibly be one of the first rock and roll records, technically. So
a one, a two, a three. Ooh, hear church people say they are in this holy way. There are strange things happening every day. On that last great judgment day, when they drive them all away, there are strange things happening every day. Every day, yeah. There are strange things happening every day. Every day, yeah. There's strange things happening every day. If you want to lose your crime, you must learn to quit your lie. There are strange things happening every day. There, you right to the line. You can't live right all the time. There are strange things happening every day. Every day. Every day. Every day. There's strange things happening every day. Every day. Every day. Yeah. There's strange things happening every day. There's strange things happening every day.
So I don't know if you've heard Mark wax endlessly about this to you, but Mark will call me up and just go on and on and on about how this thing bounces. Remember how I told you, I said, man, this thing's got to bounce. It bounces. You know, it's got that rockabilly bounce, which is hard to get, you know, to get that tick, 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 and where the, you know, the bass is moving through it and it's not drag. The trick is to not get it to fall into a shuffle per se, but a bouncy shuffle, which has a little bit more thump and movement, you know, rather than, you know, your standard shuffle. It's a boom, 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 you know, feels like it's always moving forward. Well, he heard our mix of this and it just floored him. Because remember when I was getting all excited as the mix was coming together? And I said, Bruce, it's got to bounce. Listen to that, you know. And well, he'll call me and just talk about it for 10, 15 minutes. Just, I can't believe we got it to bounce like that. I just love that, you know, and on and on and on. That NRBQ type thing, you know what I'm saying?
The things that consume you when you're sitting by yourself in North Carolina and your band's in California.
Well, you know, I think he kind of thought he was disappearing off the record. And in point of fact, you know, some of those things he played ended up becoming crucial to the vibe of how the thing moved, you know? So yeah, there are, yes, ladies and gentlemen, there are classic 77s tracks hidden within this little CoROEnosphere record. I just want you to know. So I want every one of you to buy it just on that basis alone, because no 77s fan should be without this record, you know? But we didn't want this to be, remember, we didn't want this to be our next 77s record. Right. We wanted it to be a CoROEnosphere thing, but you're gonna get 77s whether you like it or not.
It's unavoidable.
No, And it's not a bad thing to get, because when it's good, it's really good. Now here's one of my favorite stories of all. This one was written by our friend Mylon Lefevre. And Mylon wrote this, well, first of all, Mylon grew up in a gospel singing family. The Lefevres were famous in the South. They traveled around and sang at churches and all night sings and all that kind of stuff. And Mylon got dragged along with them because he was their kid. Well, when he was 17, he sat down and wrote this song in like 20 minutes. I don't know why he wrote it. And he sang it. I think they asked him, they said, we need a special tune for you to sing tonight, you know? And so he came up with this thing and threw it together. And they had a concert and he sang it. He did not know that Elvis Presley was in the audience at the time. And by the time this happened, Elvis was already an established star. In fact, this happened in the 1960s, not in the dim 50s. This happened mid-60s. Mylon was still very young at the time. So Elvis, when it was over, Elvis was completely floored by this tune, and he tried to get backstage to meet Mylon. And they met, and Elvis says, you know, I'd like to record this. And so he did, and he put it on an album called How Great Thou Art, which was his second gospel record. It won a Grammy, the album won a Grammy, and Mylon got sent $90,000 for his royalty share. Now, in 1966, $90,000 was a crap ton of money. And he went out and bought the fanciest car he could, you know, the car that Elvis bought for me, right? And, but what Mylon didn't know was going to happen is that because of the popularity of this record, numerous people started recording it, one person after another, country guys, gospel guys. It became a gospel standard, and it made Mylon a very rich young man, which kind of in a way spelled his demise for a while. He kind of went off the deep end, but eventually found his way back, and now he's a gospel singer like he grew up to be.
And he, along the way, he jammed with Mick Jagger.
That's right. We've already told that story. We don't need to tell it again.
Without him, I could do nothing. Without him, I'd surely fail. Without him, I would be drifting like a ship without a sail. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? Please don't turn him away, oh Jesus, my Jesus. Without him, how lost I would be. Without him, how lost I would be.
There you go. What a great tune. Who could write that at 17?
It plays itself, man. Plays itself.
Know. My goodness. It's like, gosh, at 17, I was lucky to just play a blues lick, you know?
People that are going to be playing here tonight are, it's the core of it, of course, is Mylon Lefevre, but he has a band back in Atlanta, Georgia named Broken Heart, and they couldn't come out at the last minute, some things turned out, and so we worked it out where the 77s have been rehearsing with him for the last 3 days, and they put together a set of music, and we're really excited about it. So would you welcome Mylon Lefevre.
and so drear. Well, I know he came in, he answered my prayer one day. Jesus made a way for me, yes he did. Yeah. One day the sun refused to shine in that simple heart of mine. I prayed both night and day, my Savior would make my way. Came and answered me right then and there. My Lord answered my humble prayer one day. Jesus made a way for me. My prayer one day, Jesus made a way for me. One day, oh, he made a way. One day, I know Jesus made a way. One day, oh, he made a way for me. Praise the Lord.
All right, here's another one that I grew up with, kind of went the cowboy way a little bit. George Bernard, he was a Methodist evangelist and song leader.
On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Soon we'll come to the end of life's journey,
perhaps we'll never meet anymore, till we gather in heaven's bright city, far away on that beautiful shore. If we never meet again this side of heaven, as we struggle through this world and its strife, there's another meeting place somewhere in heaven, by the side of the river of life, where the charming roses bloom forever, and where separations come no more. If we never meet again this side of heaven, I will meet you on that beautiful shore.
Did you have some trouble there? I saw you cut out there for a minute.
Yeah, my power on my unit here was getting low, so I had to go get a power unit to power it up. Crazy land and editing a bunch of stuff together. I think we got through the Aaron stuff. We got through kind of a few things, and we're going to go back to tried and true live performance.
Yes.
Starting next week. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
So thanks for your patience and bearing with us. And I know if you're still with us on this show right now, if you're still watching this, then you're one of our people, man. You're already in this. So we're doing this together. You know what's going on here.
Absolutely.
It's just craziness, man. We're hoping we didn't get too sidetracked, but it has been an unprecedented run. So I guess, it's a lot to ask to keep up 64 weeks of performances. It's kind of a long running show. It's quite what do you call it? It's quite a residency.
Yes. Yeah. Tell it to the people on Broadway that do a show for 30 years.
Wow.
But
well, but they have people who come in and sub for them.
Right. Well, I knew that eventually we would take some kind of little break, and so this has been it. And we'll try to keep it going as long as we can, because it is fun, and we love the interaction with you guys in a way that we haven't been able to do ever since I started doing music with these guys. I mean, I would have never thought to do a weekly anything, so it's been a lot of fun.
And we've been talking about it. Once we're back in the flow, once we get finished with this thing, we really want to concentrate on getting a new 77s record done and getting this Safe as Milk catalog together, because there's a lot more vibes, man, that we have our mind on, and the show's going to be a nice opportunity to be showing some of that stuff and just staying in touch with the audience. I think, with the new things that are on Mezzo coming up, where the whole COVID thing just kind of blew it all up, and I think we're getting our sea legs back under us. So
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps my hand in. I mean, it actually forces me to sing and play publicly every week, which a lot of times I don't do. I mean, you have been doing it. You and Mark did it forever around town. I just haven't been out playing as much. So knowing that I play at church, but
yeah, we most of the things we were doing, like we did the whole Alloy Field thing, which was never really going out and playing. It was just a studio thing to kind of have fun with. But now I'm actually going to be starting to record my first solo album of pick 10 out of the 300 songs I have.
That's too many.
Wow. I think we're going to be, well, I mean, because I write all the time, but I'm gonna do it here. starting in August, I think. I have the plans to get in the studio, and this show has been a nice opportunity to get a little chance to sing and stretch out as a singer a little bit. But the other thing is, we were discussing, and I think I'm going to title it the official unmixed, unmastered, unfinished collection.
Right, because everything we do is unfinished,
yeah,
incomplete, and unmastered.
Yeah, I felt that was finally the way to conquer the fear of the high expectations.
Yeah,
it's going to be the unmixed, unmastered, unfinished collection.
Maybe we need to just do the patron thing and just, fart out all our stuff like that. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, it's a weird thing. We're going through that right now because we're busy getting the Vector stuff together and doing the release on the label, and then we're going directly to the streaming services, and we're talking about, the efficacy of just how many CDs to mass produce and things like that, just what people want. And I think we're coming to the idea that we want to produce something that the fans can get a handle on and collect, and essentially support us by collecting those things, not the idea that that's the medium that everybody's going to go and take to listen to.
Yeah.
I think they just kind of want a collection, a collectible.
Well, in
medium.
a lot of ways, the concept of the 12-song album is outdated. I mean, it's a beautiful concept, and I'll never tire of it.
No, I won't.
That's what I grew up with. But I think today's audiences, especially younger, are about constant content. It's in a stream, and you're floating downstream, grabbing things rather than having this formalized piece of art. It could be that there may be some medium in between there where you hear that people develop the thing, you get to hear the demos, you get to hear the song in process, and then the finished art is the one that you put on a piece of plastic or something. I don't know.
Well, it's
interactive.
I think it's like a novel. I think all those are kind of ways to discover, but I think once you discover, you want to have something you can wrap your head around.
Put your stamp on, yeah.
To take. You want somebody's art to cover an hour. You don't just want to go down and see them sing one song.
Right.
Like people that are watching this. I mean, they love this right now.
I hope so.
Oh, it's the greatest thing ever.
Don't push your luck, pal.
Us talking is like the greatest thing ever. I'm kidding, because we have our fans that love us have totally scolded us for talking. So
totally.
They obviously don't love that too much. But hey.
Well, why don't we wrap this thing up, because I got to go, but it's been great, and I'm going to finish off with
what's that little timer say?
What's
how
that?
Long have we been doing this? How long is this?
I think it's been an hour. I think it's
really
close. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, give us. So where are we in the songs? How much we got left?
Well, I'm going to just do this last one. The Bible's Right. Sister O.M. Terrell. She was an itinerant Holy Ghost preacher evangelist. She played bottleneck blues, slide guitar. She recorded 6 sides for Columbia Records in 1953 and never recorded again. Can you believe it? I mean,
that's a great story right there.
How easy was it to get a deal with Columbia? Not that easy, but Columbia recorded her. I think contracts were a little bit more loosey-goosey in those days, especially if you were doing blues and gospel. They kind of looked at you sort of as a marginal thing. Let's just make a quick buck and get out. But it was her choice to stop. She just got more focused on being a preacher and decided she didn't want to record anymore. But man, I stumbled on her stuff on the internet and found this song and went, this is cool,
1, 2, 3. I know the Bible right, somebody wrong. The Bible's right, somebody wrong. The Bible's right, somebody wrong. God knows you're wrong. Tell you once, tell you twice, you can't get to heaven with another man's wife. I know the Bible right, Bible right. the Bible right. Oh, yes, Bible's right. Oh, yes, somebody wrong. Well, let me tell you what you can't do. You can't tell lies and go there too. I know the Bible right. Bible right. The Bible right. Ooh, the Bible right. Ooh, somebody wrong. Dippers and tobacco chewers, when you get to heaven you won't have nowhere to spit. I said it's right. I know the Bible right. Ooh, the Bible right. Somebody wrong. I mean, you're wrong. There you go, man.
Man,
All
what
right,
a treat!
CoROEnosphere.
What a treat being able to do that stuff, man. It's so cool.
That was the one take on the album. That was it.
You know, I got to say that stuff. You know, when we play like blues, you know, casuals and stuff over the years with different people, and when people go and they do a blues thing live, you know, a lot of it tends to be kind of a familiar catalog, you know. So this thing is neat because there's a few special things in there that, you know, I know we could go and sit on a stage and just pull them out and rock those things, you know, like at Telluride or various places. You could just whip that out and just gut it out and it'd be great, you know. So
well, no one's heard it a million times.
Yeah, it's really great to be working on, you know, memorializing a updated calendar of old traditional hymn stuff, and then some things like that you know over time, man, that's some gutsy material that you know is lost to history unless people go ahead and do like you've done, man. Pull it out of the ash heap of you know,
we did that with Holy Ghost Building, and I did it with my other one, the Rising Sun. We're doing it again, so maybe we are music historians. Maybe that's part of our job, is to go find stuff and get it out and say, look at this, man, somebody did this thing. It's just been laying around, you know, and here it is.
You know, when you mentioned the Ken Burns thing, which I loved his Civil War thing, obviously, and all the things he does. So I can just imagine how great that music history one is you're talking about. Is it bluegrass, blues?
Country music.
Country music. But yeah, I guess at the end of this here, I would probably say that, you know, if you're still hanging with this, then you're a part of our scene and you understand what we're trying to do, and you have an appreciation for what we do. Not just the records we make or the fact that we're kind of crazy characters, but that, you know, kind of the heart and soul of what we're trying to do a lot of times is not lost on you. And I think that is a very legitimate thing to have brought up. About that's one of our things we've kind of fallen into that makes a lot of sense. And you being the guy you are, I mean, you're a walking, talking music history. You're a gem of music history, man. I mean, you know, as just a fan and observer of your life, you know, I don't have anything to say that's anything like you. You know, it's just great to be a fan and observe you. And I think that is a mission that you know, we probably don't take ourselves seriously enough. You know, that's something that people who live in the big city probably go get a grant for doing these kind of things. And, you know, we haven't really kind of put any energy into that type of thing. And I think it's something that we're always do it first and, you know, don't talk about it as much.
Well,
and I think this has been a nice road to go down. And I think we've just scratched the surface of it. And I think if there's an incentive for people to, you know, contact us and support our mission, I think there's something really valuable in that. I think we should probably be you know, once we get this thing done and keep moving on our little stuff, I think we should be thinking more about that and trying to formalize that mission for ourselves. I think it really fits us, you know.
You probably go into colleges and do it, you know, instead of doing it in a classroom. We're doing it here. So, but anyway, we should do a sign off.
Okay.
Bruce Spencer, Doc Love, till next week. So long.
Hey.